At this time, what I want to do is to introduce you to one of our fellow travelers in this network approach and one of Interise's thinking partners. David Sawyer, who's with us and has come from Portland, Oregon, but I have to confess, as you'll hear soon, that he too is a Southerner. Unless you think we only have a network in the South, that's one of the reasons we showed you the pictures, so you wouldn't just think the accents are the ones that are the ones we work with all the time. David's a partner with an interesting network organization called Converge. They do strategy and design for systems impact and work specifically with networks to achieve it. He is a strategy guy working to achieve a better world, specializing in network, design, and systems thinking. And he's active across all sectors and has played roles in a variety of fields: education reform, national service, social enterprise, the betterment of the lives of women and girls, venture philanthropy, and environmental preservation. And I'd like David to come up and share a little bit of what he's learned, so it's not just our voice you're hearing.
Thanks. Well, hello, everyone. Nice to see all of you. So, I know you all have seen this image right here. Think with me a moment about this planet and reflect on the words of social philosopher Tom Atlee, who recently said, when he thought about planet Earth, things are getting worse and worse, and better, faster and faster, in bigger and bigger ways. And that summed it up for me about as well as anything ever has. Now, think about America. Scroll in there and think about America there on the blue planet. And because it's a presidential election season, this is the perfect time to quote some dead presidents. Woodrow Wilson, over 100 years ago, said, "There will come a time when America will be surprised to find herself grown old, crowded, and perplexed, when she will be obliged to pull herself together, curb her excesses, and trust her best citizens." If you think about the work that people in this room are doing, that Jean and her team have been doing, that people are doing all over that network map, those are the best citizens, the people who every day get up and address what are called the wicked problems. In design thinking, we make a distinction between hard problems. Smallpox is a terrible problem, but it's not a wicked problem because we know how to deal with smallpox. Climate change, hunger, homelessness, income inequality, violence against men and girls, violence against women and girls, men and boys, cops, people of color. These are complex, wicked, impossible problems. And you don't solve a wicked problem. You engage a wicked problem over time. And inner city, renewal of our inner cities and creating the sort of support for inner city entrepreneurs, that's a solution to a wicked problem that has to take place over a long period of time, right? And everybody here knows, as Teddy Roosevelt said, this country will not be a good place for any of us to live in until it is a good place for all of us to live in. And we have a long way to go, ladies and gentlemen, and let's just not pretend about that. All right? Long way to go, and that's why we're all here. So what is it going to take for America to pull herself together? Well, business can't do it alone. Government can't do it alone. Nonprofits can't do it alone. Foundations can't do it alone. Tech billionaires can't do it alone, with due respect. America and the US Congress definitely cannot do it alone. The only way it's going to work is if we come together and do it together. And American philanthropy in 2015 gave $353 billion to a better world. $353 billion. Foundations gave $57 billion. We are winning some battles, but we have not yet won the war. Am I right? We have not. It's not going to be money alone. So this is why Interise is so important, because what Interise is sort of a new form of nonprofit, or really it's just a new form of change. And we're learning, those of us in the change world are learning that change itself is changing. How we make change is changing. You can't do it from any one of the sectors and Jean and her team have realized we're not scaling up, we're scaling out in a network paradigm. Do you understand sort of what I mean? So that's why we're here. Now, this is going to surprise you. You know, I'm a management and strategy consultant. I have a nice, solid left brain. However, having worked with everybody from National Geographic to the White House and the Dalai Lama, what I have found is that all the change efforts don't take one thing seriously enough. And they always fail at some point. They get just almost to the last mile and then they just stop. All of them. Pretty much every one I've seen. Because they don't take relationships seriously enough. We just don't do we very well. Social scientists have been studying the we space, the space between us, for over 100 years. And they have concluded, as I think everyone in this room knows well, relationships are the source of our greatest joy and of our greatest misery. Everybody know about that? And it doesn't matter how hard it is. If we don't get that right, we're not going to get the nation right, and we're not going to get the planet right. We're not going to solve these kind of wicked problems. So it seems sort of soft to a lot of people, you know, all this, you know, is this sort of touchy-feely, one of sort of like my least favorite phrases in the world, because usually that's when you have to build things with toothpicks and marshmallows. Those little trust building things, which make me want to scream. Basically, never going to do that again. And you know, you build real trust by building real relationships and by finding out who's behind the person, you know? We can see a lot about someone from the outside. I can see your skin color, I can see your gender, I can see your relative age, I can see how you dress. You know, there's things I can see about and learn about your external context. I know your job. But that's just the tip of the iceberg of who you are. There's a soul behind that role, there's a person there, and if you think about the deals you've done in your life that worked, you found out who was behind that role. Am I right? You found out. You don't do great change unless you have a great relationship, which requires trust. Not trust for affection. Don't have to like people. Just take that off the table. I can work with you if I don't like with you. Not trust for agreement. It's actually better if you have diverse perspectives, right? Don't you want a diversity of perspectives? No, it's trust for action. It's trust for impact. It's trust to get things done. We may disagree on 9 things, but we can find that one thing we agree on, and I will look you in the eye and I will say, I'll build a relationship with you to do that one thing. Wherever you stand on any other, that's what it's going to take to address these kind of problems. So, as you probably know, as the Surgeon General famously said, collaboration is an unnatural act between unconsenting adults. So we're just going to have to figure out how to do it better somehow. The headline here for me is return on investment, fine. Return on capital, awesome. Return on mission, excellent. The real win, return on relationships. ROR. And that's why, as a strategy consultant, I have spent a lot of my time, once the scenario planning is done and once all that sophisticated planning work is done, you've got to execute on the plan, and you don't execute on the plan unless you have strong relationships. We develop a lot of different tools in my work, and I've written about it. We write about this. You can learn more about it. But there's a lot of different tools. We don't believe that it actually takes a long time to build trust, contrary to popular intent. And we really think it can happen pretty quickly. And I read in Harvard Business Review a few years ago, what's the one thing you could do, leaders, take note, to improve both performance and morale in your organization? One thing. Find out who everyone else is and what they're doing and who they are. That one thing.